Okay, here we go. Yo, I'm sitting here and even I'm taken aback. Like, I feel like I just stepped back in time, or maybe I just aged and this man hasn't aged a day. But, I got to give it up. I know we're going to get into this interview, but St. Louis owned, this man has had hit record after hit record and don't look like he aged one damn day. Give it up for St. Louis own Chingy. Chingy, welcome to Vlad TV, man.
What's up, my brother? I always appreciate Vlad's platform because since the beginning, he's had me on, man. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate being here. Appreciate y'all having me here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we get into your story, and I know that you were on the platform a while ago, so I'm gonna take it back to the beginning, and we just gonna go from then and bring it up to current. But
All right.
I gotta ask, like, what are you doing? Like, are you vegan? Or are you out running marathons? Like, how did you find the fountain of youth? Like, what are you doing?
What I'm doing, actually, what I'm doing is just mental discipline to get you far in life. So I am vegan. You know, I try to eat healthy. I exercise. I try my best not to consume a lot of sugar, dairy products, and I don't eat meat. I don't eat fish. And I try my best to keep a balanced mentalism. You know what I mean? And look forward to positivity and balanced situations in my life. And so I think a lot of that has to do with not accumulating stress and anxiety, and along with the healthy eating and working out and exercising. And so it's helping me out here. And Benjamin Button, I'm real live Benjamin Button. Somebody told me that before. Tell me some, damn, Chingy, you Benjamin Button.
You really are, man. I'm like, yo, you drinking straight from the fountain of youth for what?
Yeah, thanks, man. I work hard on trying to stay healthy, man, and I always try to share it. You know, when people interested and open-minded, I just let them know what I'm doing to stay fit and stay healthy.
Just for my own knowledge, how long have you been living this lifestyle, and what made you even start to begin with?
How long I've been living this lifestyle and what made me start to begin with? Well, it started a while ago. I've since a kid, I've never been, and I'm gonna be honest, I never liked the torturing and killing of animals. I always thought it wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we would appreciate if some alien race came from out of the sky, came down here and said, we just eat human babies. How y'all feel about that? I don't think we would like that. You know, humanity can tend to look down upon animals. You know, they do have mothers and fathers and siblings just like we do. They are living creatures just like we are, but we can tend to look down on that. The journey started back in about 98, 99. That's when I quit eating beef and pork. And so as the years progressed, and around 2010, 2011, that's when I stopped eating chicken, turkey, fish, and all the rest of the meats. And then as it progressed, years went by more, then I stopped dairy and sugar and all of that. And also, it has a profound effect on my immune system. And so, you know, I break out from eating dairy and sugar and stuff, and the meat and stuff didn't work too well with me as well. You know, don't get me wrong, it has its nutrients. The meat can have its nutrients, but overall as well, it can also be, it can destroy your arteries and organs as well when it build up. And so why I started this journey, I think it's selfish to slaughter animals. And also
Understood.
it just didn't work with my immune system. I didn't like what it was doing to my immune system.
Understood. Okay, let's get into it. St. Louis own. What was it like growing up in St. Louis at the time? Because I know me, like the rest of the world, we got to know you through rap music.
Right.
And back in the days when you really popped off, the East Coast was doing this thing, West Coast was doing this thing, but it was like you were on the front line of that whole Midwest thing. What was it like coming up in St. Louis at that time?
What it was like coming up in St. Louis at that time, now, beginning of my career or even before that?
Before that.
Okay,
early days.
Before that, I think just like any intercity adolescent who has a dream, you know what I mean? I come from the ghetto just like everybody else. I come from the inner city hood just like everybody else. I come from poverty just like every other young little individual, little dude from the hood. And so through my journey, I grew up in a household with my mom, dad, two brothers, and my little sister. And tough love. Wasn't
Mhm.
mom and dad wasn't the mom and dad who, oh, come here, give me a hug and a kiss and throw you in the air and just, they wasn't like that. It was tough love. And so they loved you, don't get me wrong. You felt the love, but it was we grew up in the hood. And so how they mother and father treated them, that's how they treated us coming up.
Mhm.
And you felt that. And my old dude was a gangster and a hustler. My mother, she worked and did her. My brothers, kind of took that road as well, growing up hustling and in the streets. And, so of course that was in me as well. And, but I always had a dream. I always had a goal, music. At 6 years old, Eazy-E, you had Eazy-E and you had Michael Jackson. These are who really, really, really inspired and influenced me. Michael Jackson influenced me in a way that when I saw him entertaining on stage, I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I gotta do that. May Michael Jackson rest in paradise. I love him to death. Eazy-E, when I saw him rapping, I was like, man, I wanna be like that dude. I wanna do what he's doing. So I wanted to rap.
Mhm.
And so I brought the two together, rapping and entertaining on stage, and you have Chingy. So my top inspirations for that, and I have to include DJ Quick in on that too, on the Eazy-E side, because them
Mhm.
were two of my, if we talking like favorites and stuff, them were two of my favorites. Eazy-E and DJ Quick for us rappers. But that's what came about where I wanted to entertain. And to this day, I feel like that's what made Chingy. But St. Louis grew up in the street like everybody else. It was rough, hustling. You got drugs, poverty, gang banging, all that stuff. And so just to give you an insight on, as far as what I seen growing up in the streets and how that St. Louis wave of drugs and gangs started. Well, my family, being the Bailey family and the Crawford family, were contributors to that. Like my people, aunties, uncles, daddy, cousins, used to go to LA to handle business, but they would bring back the drugs and some of the
Mhm.
some of the gangbangers and post them up in different hoods, and they do what they do. Now this is of course I'm speaking like in 86, 85, 87, so I'm around this. And my relatives were Bloods in the blood
Got you.
in the blood gang. Originated from Harvard Park, Six Deuce Brims in LA. And so they brought it to St. Louis. And I remember being around them when I was like 7. We used to be over my uncle, auntie, they had this apartment. And it'd be about 10, 15 Bloods in there. My older relatives now, we be playing Tecmo Bowl. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with, Tecmo Bowl.
Mhm.
We be playing
Absolutely.
Tecmo Bowl and they be beating my ass and I'm crying and getting mad. It used to be Crips who would come over because they needed to talk to my auntie and my uncle business. So LA Crips be coming over, and I'm young, but I know pretty much what's going on. I pay attention, you know what I mean? And so they would almost get into it, the Bloods and the Crips. But because of my uncle and auntie, they didn't, because it's business. And so that wave started in St. Louis as far as that. That's how the gang banging, the drug and the gang banging stuff in St. Louis, that's how that started. So when you hear Ice Cube song, St. Louis niggas want their cornerback,
Yep.
that record, that's real.
Yep.
That's real. I watched that happen.
Uh.
And so growing up in St. Louis is just like, remember DJ Quick, just like Compton. Just like why? Just like this. Just like that. You know what I mean? It's just, I had goals. I had ambition. I had things that I wanted to do that separated me from just diving all the way into that type of lifestyle. You know what I
Mhm,
mean?
mhm.
And so I stuck with that. Even though I got caught up, I almost got killed before, man. I almost got shot in the head, I almost got shot in the eye. You know what I'm saying? Being out there trying to do certain things and live a certain life. And that was a turning point for me. I think I was like 16, 96.
Okay.
And that was actually a turning point for me. I remember I got my mama car shot up. So me and my brothers was riding. We was in our neighborhood about to go somewhere. And I seen two of my little homeboys fighting some older dudes. And so my brother stopped and we hop out. I just go and knock one of the dudes out. So I knock one of the dudes out, but it's a dude in the alley loading a gun that's with them. I don't see him. And so
Oh.
my cousin was like, "Hey, dude got a gun. Woo, woo, woo." I just walked back to the car and I just ducked my head because I heard him say that. But when dude started shooting, he started shooting where I ducked because I guess he seen me hit his homeboy. So I got grazed in the head and grazed in the eye. And that was kind of a turning point for me. My mama sent me to stay with my auntie that stayed like an hour away because this was the summertime. I guess she realized like he getting into too much shit. He's starting to get into
Got
too
you.
much shit. So she sent me to live with my auntie. And so yeah, man, it's St. Louis is a little town, but it's just like it could take on any big city. You know, St. Louis dudes it's tough there. It's tough there.
Got you. Got you. You mentioned that your father was in the game. And I saw an old interview of yours, and I think you said that he had two Rolls Royces. How
Yeah.
deep in the game was your father?
How deep in the game was my father? I just left St. Louis, and I'm gonna tell you this. He still fly. If you see him, you'll be like, wow, he spit you out like y'all twins. He still fly.
Wow.
He still got the up-to-date Benz. He still do his thing. But he was a known OG gangster hustler in St. Louis. Known. He had two Rolls Royces. He stayed fly silk suit. He used to have this chain in his ring that the whole city knew. He had this Statue of Liberty gold-plated emblem, like this big. It was the Statue of Liberty. He had this ring that was about how my fist, that was about from where my pinky to the middle of where my index finger and my middle finger is. That was a map of the United States with St. Louis being the biggest diamond. He used to get it. Like he was a well-known OG gangster in St. Louis. Like so he had the streets sewn up, all that, you know what I'm saying? And people respected him and people love him, and to this day they do, you know, and he was deep in the game.
Got you. Got you. You just mentioned that you recently saw him. Is your mom still around?
No, my mother passed in 2017, may she rest in paradise. She's not around, but may she rest in paradise. But yeah, I just came from St. Louis hanging out with Howard. So yeah, that's Big Howard. So when you hear me refer to myself as Lil Howard, like in my music, when I'm at One Call Away, people always tease me about that Lil Howard, you weak when I say that on the song. And so I'm a junior. So he's Big Howard, I'm Lil Howard.